I mean, well, it's very much of interest to a lot of people, but I'm saying it's a little interesting in the fact that we're just overwhelmed by this now. It's everywhere. And so how do we participate? How do we interact? And so why don't you share with our listeners where we're going with this? This is an interesting topic, but I also think I think it could cause a lot of debate.
Well, we're asking you today, we are living more and more in a do-it-yourself world with every passing day. What we mean by that is you can do it. You can do your banking online. You can do your shopping online. You can get a car that will drive itself. You don't have to drive your car anymore if you get one of those newfangled cars.
Right there.
There are so many things that it's kind of a DIY, do-it-yourself world. Have you bought into that? You know, do you? It's almost impossible to avoid it over a course of time, Debbie, I think. But that's our question today. Do you prefer to do a lot of like checking out at the grocery store? Do you go to the self-checkout line? Do you like to do that? Do you prefer to do that? Would you rather go through a line with a checker and maybe someone to bag your groceries for you? This is the topic today. Are you fully invested personally in this do-it-yourself culture that has been established around us? Here's the number, 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986.
So we want to hear from the Take Two family. It's a do-it-yourself world. Let's face it. It's all around us. It's everywhere we go. We're removing human beings. Why? Because there's, human error to things. So we're relying on technology to be fast and efficient. And let's face it, folks, it's going to have problems. There's going to be mistakes. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. And are we just erasing humanity in ways? Or maybe you're on the flip side of this, you're into the whole artificial intelligence and advanced technology and stuff like that. And you're thinking, no, Debbie, you're so behind the times. We got to keep up with the world. Everybody's doing this. We've got to, the whole idea is to evolve and get smarter and everything. But are we getting so smart it's actually kind of, I don't know, dumb? Because in other ways, it just ruins the way we interact. We were made for community. And so let's talk about it. It's a do-it-yourself world. Do you like it? Give us the pros and cons. Let's have a nice, healthy discussion and walk away a little bit changed, hopefully a little bit closer to God. What do you say, Jer?
Well, I agree. Phone lines are wide open right now, and we would love to have you participate in the conversation. We have Matt Gabensky on the phones. Our producer is Ace McKay. Michael McCall is monitoring your social media comments on Facebook and YouTube. Hello to you if you're watching the video there. But the phone, we'd love to hear your voice, 833-288-3986. Have you gone along with all of the DIY, the do-it-yourself stuff in the world? Or do you think maybe have you resisted? I've tried to resist, Debbie, like online banking and things like that. But over time, maybe it wears you down, the convenience of it. So I do. I've been inside a bank branch maybe twice in the last 10 years because,
Right.
I do. And at the grocery store, I love going to the self-checkout. But, maybe some of you who are listening right now, you think, well, this is a way to kind of do away with jobs that, human beings might be able to hold,
That's
so
what I feel.
it does have an impact in certain, situations and circumstances. So give us your take on this. Where do you come down on this question? 833-288-3986.
So thanks to our previous governor here in Arizona, he decided that he wanted to make Arizona the test center for many things. And one of the areas that he wanted to dive into is these self-driving cars. And so we've had those self-driving cars. They were manned for a long time. And so people in Arizona got used to that because we thought, there's a human being behind the steering wheel. It must be okay. Now you see them and they are completely driverless. There's no driver next to him in the passenger seat, in the back seat, not at all. And I was warning everybody in Arizona about this. And just about a week ago, my sister calls me and she says, "Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. I was next to two cars with no drivers." She goes, "It was the weirdest thing. It was strange. I couldn't wait to get away from them." And see, this is what we're saying, Jerry. I think there needs to be a little bit of education, and I don't know. I don't know how we're ever going to accept this. I just feel like it's the Jetsons. I really do. I feel like we've gone into a really strange world. I'm not saying I want to go back to the prairie days, But I think things were simpler back then. And I just think, I don't know. What do you feel? Maybe I should just stay up. Maybe our Take Two family's right. Maybe should get up with the times. I don't know.
Well, unlike you, Debbie, I'm old enough to remember, a time when when there was, all that human personal interaction.
Right.
And you'd go to the local small town grocery store where I grew up, and, you, even back then, we had to memorize. I was a checker at the store. You had to memorize the prices of the produce and everything.
That's right.
You didn't have the scanner, so even scanners for checkers, God bless them. I mean, it's a very, very beautiful way of checking out your groceries and having those little barcodes on there and stuff. But now, like I said, we're moving more toward the self checkout and really do it yourself in a lot of different things. So, love to hear from you, the Take Two family today. It's a Monday. And we want to get the week started off right here. 833-288-3986. Still a couple open phone lines there. How are you doing with this do-it-yourself world, Take Two family?
Do you think it's very efficient and we're getting better at making things go faster for the rest of us so that we can get on with our day and get more done on our to-do list, which I don't think ever really happens. It's a perpetual list. Okay, just to remind everyone, we do have Matt on the phones. He's doing a great job. We've got Ace McKay at the controls, always doing just a fabulous job there. And Rich Jesse is on social media. So make your comments there. We're waving to you on YouTube and Facebook, and then we need to hear from you. Okay, pick up those last open phone lines. We're getting some messages coming in saying they like the Prairie Days. That's really cool. We like that. Maybe we should start that again. 833-288-3986. It's a do-it-yourself world, and we need to hear from our Take Two family.
Now we have today's quote for you from Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar. As soon as the woman who said, "If I touch the hem of his garment, I shall be healed," touched the hem of his garment, her touch brought forth the power of God. What a thing faith is. Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar features an inspirational message for each day of the year. It's available from the EWTN Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com. That's EWTNRC.com.
When you find yourself peering into life's rearview mirror, wondering if your past will forever define you, it doesn't have to. Go to StandTallToday.com and register for your absolutely free consultation with one of our world-class life coaches. They can help you get started on a plan forward to living your best life. There's nothing to lose and an entire future to gain. Log on to StandTallToday.com for complete details. That's StandTallToday.com.
EWTN News presents the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast from Washington, D.C. Get complete coverage as we dedicate another year to our Blessed Mother and honor faithful Catholics who stand apart in their witness. Join leaders from across the United States in prayer for our country, our church, and for one another. The National Catholic Prayer Breakfast, Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern on EWTN TV.
Well, typically and not surprisingly, you have a lot to say about the topic. You always do, the Take Two family. We have busy phone lines there. Just a reminder that if you want to try and get in after a line is cleared, it's 833-288-3986, talking about the do-it-yourself culture that we live in today. Do you take advantage of that? Are you against it? Do you see risks involved with that? Do you think it's just the best thing in the world that's ever happened? Love to hear a variety of different perspectives on this. And right before we go to the calls, I want to tell you about EWTN's prayer offer, or prayer line, if you will. It's online, actually. And EWTN offers a variety of prayers for all of your spiritual needs, especially during the upcoming season of, yes, Lent is just coming up in a little over a week and beyond. You can find all of these prayers at EWTN.com/pray.
I'm not crazy about Lent. Have I told you that lately? Oh, actually,
I'm
you know that.
excited about Lent this year for some reason. I really am.
I don't know why. Lent just, I don't know. You know this. I always complain every year. It just becomes you're excited though. That's good. If you're excited, I'm going to hold on to that as well. Okay, I'm excited about Lent, folks. It's a great season to get deep with God. Sometimes it can be very hard and heavy. Just saying. Okay, Teresa in Houston, Texas on the EWTN app. Hello, Teresa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. I just want to say I love your show, and I think you're both beautiful souls. You always say that to people, and I wanted to say it to you.
Oh,
And
thank you, Teresa.
you're welcome, and that EWTN has really changed my life in a really beautiful way, so thank you. But anyway, getting back to the topic, I really like self-checkout at the grocery store. I don't want the checkers to lose their jobs, but I like to ring stuff up, and I like to bag things the way I want them. And if I kind of hurry, they slam stuff, bruise my
Teresa,
fruit.
it sounds like, are you outside, Teresa? It sounds like the wind might be on your phone.
Yes, it just blew. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, you sound much better. Go ahead.
There
Back
you
up
go.
a little bit.
Okay. So anyway, I like to self checkout, and I sometimes if I go to the regular checkout, they're trying to go so fast that they kind of slam things and do it really kind of hard. And if I ever kind of go, oh, that's my apple, and they look at me fishy. But anyway, I like it because I like to bag, but I do understand. I don't like the self-driving cars or any of that. My only thing is I love the supermarket checkout, self-checkout.
You sound exactly like my husband, Teresa. That's exactly the reason that he goes through self-checkout. And we have actually gone shopping together, and we divide, and he goes to self-checkout and I go through the line with the with the checker, and I'll tell you, it's hilarious. But he says the same thing, Teresa. He wants to be able to position his items in the bags, go fast, have everything there. He knows where it is. He puts it all in. Nothing gets smashed. And so yeah, there is some merit to that. I agree, Jerry. What you go to self checkout, don't you?
I definitely will use self-checkout, at times. I also like to go to the lines with the people in them. There's a grocery store chain here near where I live now here in Central Florida that have a bag person at every checkout line. So not just it's not the checker scanning and bagging, but they actually have a bag
So two people.
Yeah, and so that to me really gives it speaks of respect to me. I think that they really care enough to have to pay to have those people there. So
Sure.
what do you think about that, Teresa?
I think that sounds great,
Yeah.
but I'm just like Marty, so.
Well, then
And
go ahead.
Oh, no, I just kind of think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what he says. He says it's really cool. He loves scanning it. He loves the little circular thing where the bags go around. He just loves the whole thing. And so I'm going to have to bring Marty to Houston the next time I come this year, Teresa, so you can meet him. Then you guys can go through the self-checkout together.
Oh, well, we'd love to have you guys here. And Jerry, thank you for answering the call. And Debbie, if you could put my family in the prayer book, please. We just have been having some health issues, so I just wanted to get us covered.
Okay, I'll put you in. You know what? It's so interesting, Teresa. I dragged the prayer book out this morning, and normally I don't do it on Mondays. And isn't that interesting? So yes, we will make sure we pray for you and your family.
Thank you so much, and I just love you guys.
Oh, we love you too.
Thank you, Teresa. Talking about do-it-yourself stuff in this world. Are you for it, against it, somewhere in the middle? Do you use some and maybe not use others? Tony is in Merced, California, listening on Sirius XM 130 and has some thoughts on this. Hi, Tony.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for calling.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to you several times, and you're one of my favorite shows on the EWTN Sirius XM channel.
Oh, thank you.
Boo to the self-checkout. Boo. I don't work there, and I don't want to do their jobs. And that's why people don't have jobs. And that's why they probably have to do it because people aren't working. I mean, we've traveled around America, and there's help wanted signs everywhere, but I still don't want to do it myself.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying thumbs down to the self-checkout.
Thumbs down. Boo.
Oh, okay. What about driverless cars? How about those? I mean, because you live in California, that's a very interesting thing that could be introduced there, huh?
I live in the lovely Central Valley where there's a lot of agriculture, and I think it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's just like this high-speed rail is a joke.
Yeah. So, Tony, do you I don't want to pry. You don't have to say anything. But do you do any sort of self stuff like online banking or anything like that, or do you just say no to all of that? You want to interact with people all the time?
No, I do that, but when to pay some bills, but to actually bank, I go in. My husband does it all online.
Okay. Fair enough. So
well, and I have to tell you, Tony, I don't know if you heard, if you were on the of getting your call screened by now it's, I think Charles is on the phones, but maybe you didn't hear it, but my sister came across 2 driverless cars last week, and it really scared her. It really frightened her to the point where she tried to get away from them. It made her very uneasy. She said, "If this is how it's going to happen on the streets, I don't even want to drive anymore. I don't want to feel this kind of pressure when I'm driving, where I'm going up against a car that's not manned by a human being." What do you say again quickly to that? Because I'm just trying to figure it out before it gets. I mean, I know Arizona has launched it, and some other states have as well. And this thing is just going to become. I mean, it'll be everywhere in a matter of months, probably.
I completely agree with your sister because, human error is bad enough. But if something mechanical goes wrong, I don't want to be around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I
feel the
agree,
same
Tony.
way.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. How do you feel about it? You like to be on the road, Jerry. What do you feel about that?
I think I agree with you and Tony on that. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said at the start of the show, I've gone kicking and screaming into a lot of things, like even online banking, even text messaging when it first was becoming popular. I just thought, oh no, I'm never going to do that. And now I do it all the time. So
Why don't you just
Tony,
admit what happened?
Thanks
Just
for weighing
admit
in,
it.
Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
What happened? You
That
were
I'm the
texting me
one
all the
who
time?
forced you into texting. I know. I'm sorry. I've apologized for 13 years.
I know. Well, keep apologizing. Maybe I'll forgive you one of these days.
Okay, where are we going next?
Cola is a first-time caller in Fairfax, Virginia, listening on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Cola. Welcome.
Hello, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. So how do you feel about this?
Well, as I was saying earlier, I do a bit of both. However, I do not do anything online other than pay my bills. Mm-hmm. As far as checking out, self-checkout, only if I have to be at a certain place in a certain time. I'm always running late. So if I have to be somewhere and the line is long and I have no patience and I have a couple of things, I will do the self-checkout. But generally speaking, I prefer to go and see a person and greet them and thank them. I cannot greet a machine, nor can I thank a machine. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
So that's my feeling. Those are my feelings. And as far as what the the previous caller said about, people not putting things right, yes, but it's true. Sometimes they do throw things in there, but I always try to make sure I'm standing there so I can sort of say, oh, no, don't do that, please,
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's about it. Yeah, it's just I prefer the human touch. The human touch. I think we've gotten to the point where people don't talk to each other. They don't communicate. Families are texting each other instead of talking to each other. I don't know. It's sad.
Yeah.
It is. No.
I agree. I think it's really tragic that we disconnect. We saw it through the pandemic, Cola and Jerry. We saw that what happened when we were separated and when we had these masks on and we couldn't make out each other's facial expressions and we couldn't connect. It's and then the rise of depression, low grade depression. Jerry and I know because we have the life coaching ministry. It just so happened it launched the same year as COVID, and so we were getting calls like crazy of people saying, please help us. We don't know who to talk to. And I agree with you, Cola. I think this is tragic for our human experience.
Yes, I agree with you as well.
Yeah.
And it's hopefully people will wake up and realize that we need each other much more than we need machinery. And, the machines are meant to be used by us, not the other way around.
Exactly, yeah. And I think all of us would agree, we're probably all big fans of the human touch, as I believe you mentioned, Cola. And to that end, and I know you probably both do this as well, Debbie and Cola, but when I go through the grocery store checkout line, I like to greet the checker and the bag person by name. They have their name tags on.
Yeah, me too.
And I always greet them by name. I say, how are you? They ask how I doing. I'm doing well. Thanks be to God. I hope you have a blessed day. I think that's sort of the approach we take with life coaching, Debbie, and the approach that we try and take with this radio program is to really affirm people, and help them to realize they are loved, they're appreciated, they're respected, and they have worth and dignity. So I think that part of it can be lost, obviously, with some of the DIY stuff. So.
Yep, I agree. Caller, you're awesome. Thank you so much. You're not a first-time caller anymore, so call us again. Okay, so just real quickly, on YouTube and Facebook, there's comments coming in. Also, you can always email us if you have something to share, like a story about this topic, and it has it's going to take a little bit more time. Always email us at take2@ewtn.com.
Yeah, and watching on YouTube it says Yo Joe. He is watching on YouTube. It says, I worked at the grocery store for too long. I prefer to let them do the hard work. That's from Yo Joe on YouTube. So thank you for weighing in, and we welcome other social media comments as well, or Facebook or YouTube, the video streams.
Very nice. Okay, so we will go back to the phones. Maria is waiting so patiently in Dallas, Texas, on our friends at Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Maria.
Hi there. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well also. Very interesting, this topic y'all have today. I saw it coming years back, and I said, what? No, I'm going to stand in line even if it takes me a while. It has to do a lot with having patience. And a lot of us don't have patience. We're in the age or the time where people just don't have patience. And then we take it out on people. And a lot of people don't want to interact with people because of that, people's attitudes and stuff like that. But besides that, I go for the old school. I was a cashier when I was a teenager. I enjoyed it. I met people. I learned a lot because as I was growing up, I realized different people have different personalities, and some people are in good moods, some people are in bad moods. And I think that's something that needs to be learned as we go along. And I learned a lot being a cashier in different locations as a teenager. And as an adult, I like to interact with people also. I like to call them by their names, tell them thank you, appreciate them for the job they do, and things like that. And like the other caller says, you can't do that to a machine. I don't know, it's just something that we're losing it, and we're going to be sorry further down the line because all we're going to have is machines and not each other. And like you all mentioned, we had a taste of it during the pandemic. Do we really want this? Same as with the driverless car. That is spooky, very spooky. I think I'm just like your sister. I do not want to see that anytime soon here in Texas, and it's scary. It's scary because it was fun seeing it on the Jetsons, but I don't think it's fun. It's going to be fun seeing it, in front of you or beside you.
Right.
So those are my comments, and thank you for having this topic. I think it's interesting. I think people do need to know. Oh, one more thing. I do think it's going to be replacing a lot of people's jobs. So, and then I'm going to be 70 soon, and if I have used the self-cashiers, and it just gets me nervous. I finagle, and I take longer, and it's just like people are waiting for me to finish. It's like, no. Let me go to the cashiers, and that's her job, and that's she's here to work for that, and somebody's going to take that job. Who's the machine? So those are my comments. Thank you for having me and answering the call, and I really agree with you all who say they'd rather go back to the old times.
All right. Beautiful take, Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she mentioned a couple things. One is patience. I have never been the most patient person in the world, but I'm learning to be more so because I'll ask myself, if you have to wait behind one or two people with their baskets at the grocery store, what's the big deal about that? I ask myself that. I say, where am I in such a hurry to get to? Right. So I'll pull out my basket and go down to line number 4, and I'll look in there, and that's busier than the line I was in, so I'll go to line 6. And pretty soon you end up, 3 or 4 carts back further than you were in the first place. But I would say one of the things that frustrates me at the self-checkout is if the item gets rung up wrong.
Yes.
Then you got to stand there and wait and hope that somebody sees you, and maybe that little light goes on up at the top telling you, somebody needs help over here. So anyway, we're talking about doing it yourself today on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. What is your take? 833-288-3986.
The most original Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.
Hello, Journey Home family. Next time, we'll welcome Justin Hibbard, a former evangelical minister, to share what led him home to the Catholic Church. Share the journey next time on EWTN's The Journey Home.
The Journey Home, tonight, 8 Eastern, on EWTN Radio and television.
G.K. Chesterton says that the real trouble with this world of ours is not that it is unreasonable, nor even that it is reasonable. The real trouble is that it's nearly reasonable, but not quite. Its exactitude is obvious, but its inexactitude is hidden. Only in the Christian explanation of the world do we find all the logical truths, but also all the illogical truths. Only Christianity expects the unexpected. Whenever there's something odd in Christian theology, there's something odd about the world. Christianity may be complicated, but so is the riddle of life. A key and a lock are both complex, and if a key fits the lock, you know that it's the right key.
Spend more time with the Apostle of Common Sense. Visit chesterton.org for more information.
Pray for the protection of unborn children with a free pro-life prayer ebook to help guide you in prayer, to change the hearts of those who compromise the call to protect and defend life. Get your free ebook today at EWTN.com/profile.
Hi, this is Dr. David Anders. Are you curious about the Catholic faith and need answers? Call to Communion is the show for you. Today at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
It's a do-it-yourself world. Wow, here we've arrived. And you've got an open phone line there, so pick that line up and tell us what you think about all of these self-everything. Self-checkout lines, self-driving cars, the way to pay bills, everything. Everything's that you can do it yourself. Tell us what you think. Pros and cons. 833-288-3986. And Jerry, before we get back to the phones, I am getting some comments coming in that folks want to know why I don't care for Lent that much. We will talk about it when it gets closer to Lent. Be patient. Be patient. I love Lent, okay? It's a difficult process for me because I try to go very, very deep like we all should. And so with that comes a lot of crosses. Let's just face it. A lot of things happen during Lent. But it's good. It's all good. Okay, folks? I'm just trying to get myself up to like where Jerry is. He's super excited about Lent, and I'm going to try to be like him when I grow up. Okay, congratulations going out to a longtime member of the EWTN radio family, Siouxland Catholic Radio, 88.1 FM, serving Sioux City and Storm Lake, Iowa, is celebrating 16 years with us this week. Congratulations to Ann, Lisa, and their great team at Siouxland Catholic Radio. You guys are awesome, and we just want to say congratulations from all of us here at EWTN.
Congratulations. I was just chuckling because I thought of another thing that my impatience and frustration comes out at sometimes, and it shouldn't. This is a flaw within me, but it's when somebody actually pays with cash at the grocery store.
Why?
I don't know. They get out. They want to give exact change. So they're pulling out the dollar denominations, and then they get the change bag out.
And that bothers you?
Yeah, I told you it's a flaw within me. It's my impatience. They have a right to pay any way they want to.
So did you know that patience is a fruit of the Spirit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been working on patience my whole life.
I know. There you go. I love that.
Hurry up.
Okay.
Let's get to another call.
Okay. Yep. We're going to. You said, hurry up. Let's get to another call. Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah. Jerry made it funny here. Okay. Ivan, first time caller in Raymore, Michigan on Covenant Radio Network. Ivan, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Actually, it's Isaac. I think you misunderstood.
Oh, it's Isaac. Okay. I'm gonna change it.
That's all right. And it's also Missouri, not Michigan.
Oh,
okay. We got
not a big deal.
Okay,
but,
wait a minute. Let me start over. I don't really like this. Ready? Welcome, Isaac, to the program in Raymore, Missouri. from Covenant Radio Network. Does that make me sound like I'm a local?
Well, a little bit.
Okay. Welcome.
Thanks for calling, Isaac.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those topics that kind of irks me all the time. I'm a 4 or 5 years ago, I graduated from Franciscan University. I'm sure you've heard of it.
I'm up there. I graduated from there too, Isaac.
Well, that's pretty cool to hear about.
Yeah,
but yeah, there was a lot of stuff that we would go on this topic about, just how much technology has advanced and things like that. And you do a lot of study on philosophy and, you know, how we're thinking as human beings, especially from a philosophical, like a Catholic philosophical perspective. Mm-hmm. And so it was really a big influence in my life. And to be honest, it was like either that topic or one other topic that I ended up writing my thesis on. And I didn't write it on this one. I wish I would have. But yeah, I on what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, everyone has commented quite a bit on the self-checkout, and I would probably say that I'm pretty much on the same page. It just seems like, you know, I remember when everyone did that job instead of there being a self-checkout, especially after COVID. There seemed to be like, now it's like you can't hardly find anybody to a person to actually check out your stuff, and you end up waiting in a really long line to go to a self-checkout. And it seems kind of silly to me because I'm like, well, look at all these jobs somebody could have, you know. Instead, we're having a self-checkout do it. But besides that, yeah, I was really influenced by what I had learned in college, just because, you know, you learn a lot about, you know, ideas of, you know, the big philosophical minds, whether they were Catholic-minded or whether they were atheistic, that really influenced the culture, you know. And some of them aren't coming to mind right now, but there are big ones such as, you know, Friedrich Nietzsche and people like that really influenced how they viewed animals or viewed human beings almost as if we were just like our lower forms of animals. And I always see that with technology, with how advanced it is, how it kind of runs us, how it's almost like it's our God. And it's kind of sad to see, especially being a Catholic. I'm like, well, that's not good. You know, you can see that that's not good, and it's kind of sad to see. But I myself personally don't. I had a smartphone even for a short time, and I decided I didn't like the influence it had in my life. It distracts you. You just all that kind of stuff, and waste time. And so I've actually given up that, and I have like I guess you'd call it a kind of a dumb phone. You know, all I can do is call and text, but gets the job done. Yeah. You know, but I guess I could go on and on about this, like I said before, but it irks me, and there's a part of me that kind of wishes I was from the age of, you know, like the pioneer days. So, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think you're touching on a lot of important points here, Isaac. And, you know, it's not surprising, you know, given the fine education I'm sure you got at Franciscan. It sounds like you studied some philosophy and theology, because, you know, labor is a huge part of human dignity.
That's right.
You know, the church's social teaching is very, very clear on this, that man, meaning men and women, of course, derive much of our dignity and our worth based on the work that we do. And so those opportunities have to be available. And Debbie, if they're taken away or you know, some are eliminated, you know, then that makes it even harder for some people who would otherwise fill those jobs and maybe to find work.
Isaac, yeah, I completely agree. And my heart breaks. Can you just, I didn't know if you had disclosed this or not. Can you share the age range you're in? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm 26.
Okay. Yeah, you're the age of my youngest, my younger son, my youngest son. I have two sons. But Isaac, my heart breaks as a mom and a grandmother for you guys and gals who are in that age. You're in your 20s, because I think there's so much that you have to stay current with. Like you said, you had a smartphone, but you got rid of it, and now you can call and text, and so you've scaled that down, you simplified it. That's great. But let's face it, your peers are all doing things light years ahead, right? So there's this drive or this urgency with your age group. I just find it to be such high pressure to always keep up. Do you? Obviously, you changed your phone, so you must have felt it, and then you walked away from it. But when you with your friends, when you talk about it, are you all kind of complaining about the same thing?
Well, I guess it depends on which friends they are. If they're probably I kind of have, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of us have two different worlds. We have a lot of people you have to work around on a day-to-day basis, and then you have people you actually might have see eye to eye. Those who I see eye to eye with, it is the same deal. But everyone I work with, they basically call me a caveman.
Yeah. That's what I mean, Isaac. You have degrees. You're so accomplished. You're intelligent. But yet, if you're not keeping up with everything that's going on in the world, people look at all of us and they're like, "What is the matter with you? Don't you know how to push these buttons? Don't you know about this software? Don't you know how to upgrade to this?" It's really insulting. I have to tell you, and not you, Isaac, but I'm saying in general in the world, it's so insulting, and my heart breaks for your generation that you have to constantly feel that kind of pressure. I pray that there are more Isaacs out there that dump their smartphones and really start scaling back their life and making it very clear of how you want to really live in the moment and enjoy every aspect of life. What do you say to that, Isaac?
I agree. I think my biggest thing is as I've grown in my own personal faith, because that's really the big driver right there. A lot of it I just looked at and said, there's no end goal to any of this. It's like the progressive mindset where you're not really progressing by definition, because there has to be an end in order to progress, and there is no end for this. Unless if you believe in God and see that as your end to get to heaven, then you are just going toward nothing, which is an atheistic view. So I'm like, I guess for me, that's where I'm at with it, and I pray for everyone else's to see that end as well.
Isaac, thank you so much. You've brought a very educated, well thought out, and I would guess prayerful perspective to the program today. You're a first-time caller today, but never again. We hope you keep listening and call the show anytime, Isaac. Thank you so much for participating at 833-288-3986. So much do-it-yourself in this world today, from self-driving cars to banking to checking out at the grocery store to doing basically almost any kind of commerce. And you name it, it's a do-it-yourself world. Are you into that or not? 833-288-3986.
And real quickly, is anyone asking the question, what happens if all of technology, if there's like a big, cyber, hack or something like that? What happens if all of technology goes down? Nobody keeps any paper files anymore. What do we do?
I don't know. Better have some freeze-dried food on hand or something. I'm serious,
I know, but it's not really funny, but it really, we have to start thinking about that. I mean, that is really scary. Al in Panama City, Florida, on the iHeartRadio app. Hi, Al. Welcome.
Hello, it's your friend from St. Bernadette down here.
Indeed.
Hey, Jerry, you made me laugh about the cash thing, because something that drives me nuts is when I'm sitting in line to get fuel, and the person in front of me, we've been sitting there for how long, and then they get out and they kind of act surprised that they have to pay, and they're looking for their credit card forever. I'm like, you were sitting there for so long, why didn't you pull it out? But that's my patience thing. But so one thing about the self-checkout, I like doing it because, they used to squish my bread and everything else, and maybe I'm a control freak. But one thing people are forgetting, the reason companies are doing this is to keep costs down because of inflation and these ridiculous minimum wages. And that is just it. They have to do it because they can't afford to pay people these ridiculous amounts. And if they do, stand by for even higher costs. So that's an aspect that too many people forget about. And they're kind of making even like me, I love to read. Well, I caught myself listening to audiobooks all the time, which I was being lazy, and I was losing my reading skills. So I have gone back to physical books, and all this technology is really making people lazy, and they may think it's making them intelligent, but actually I believe the opposite, because they are losing their ability for cognitive thought because they'll just Google and they don't research. And they are really we're becoming, I think, a less intelligent society and, to a large extent, a lazy society. So that's my 2 cents. But, economically, all this – oh, and by self-driving, I love to drive, so no self-driving. But
good.
The all this self-checkout and going to McDonald's self-checkout or Panera self-checkout, there's a reason, and it's economics. It's not because – greedy corporations, and they're doing what they can to keep costs down for us. Because if they didn't have self-checkout, guess where they pass the cost on to?
Well, that's an interesting perspective, Al. You're talking about what you just said. I didn't see that statement coming from you. You said, that they're trying to keep the cost down for us. I hope and pray that is a correct assumption on your part, and very well may be. But we also have to realize, remember, the bottom line is for, companies and organizations and corporations to make money. And, to me, there's, I think, a very serious double standard at work here sometimes where, you'll have, humans are the sacrificed ones when it comes to jobs and things like that because of all the do-it-yourself stuff. And at the same time here recently, what was it, about a couple months ago, we had this baseball player sign with, I think, the Dodgers for $700 million because he can hit a little ball or something, There's a real disconnect here. And, of course, the only reason they can pay those salaries is because the fans continue to go to the games. So anyway, that's another show and another conversation altogether.
$700 million?
Yeah, almost $1 billion Major League Baseball contract. It's just, I think it's a little bit out of hand.
Yeah. Al, you're awesome. Thank you so much for weighing in on this conversation. We really appreciate it. Jerry, I'm going to let you do the honors with this wonderful show that's premiering today.
That's right. It kicks off today, coming up at 4 Eastern Time, right here on EWTN Radio. It's Beacon of Truth with Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. The dynamic deacon. He sets you on fire for the Catholic faith with his new show, which is again debuting today. He'll be taking your calls and talking about today's culture, sacred scripture, the teachings of the church, with answering the question, who is Deacon Harold, which leads us into the Psalms and so many other things. Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, Beacon of Truth with Deacon Harold, premiering today and every weekday at 4 Eastern Time on EWTN Radio.
Yay, Deacon. We're so excited. Congratulations. That is awesome. Okay, we are going to go to John in Toledo, Ohio on Annunciation Radio. Hi, John.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jerry.
Howdy.
It's so nice to talk to you.
Likewise.
My first thing I want to say, I want to address the issue of self-serve checkout at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
The grocery store that I go to, they always have a clerk stationed there at the self-serve, and I always make a point of greeting them. Mm-hmm. Because I know it's kind of a lonely position. People come and sometimes they complain, and I feel like I just want to put a friendly face on. And one thing that I think is very important is you got to be careful of what you're being charged. And sometimes you don't get the right price at the self-serve, and you can call the clerk over, and they'll do a price check. So that is one thing that I think is very important. I think we all need to watch what we're paying for. And I also like the fact that you have control over bagging your own groceries. Mm-hmm. So I like the convenience. And I like I said, I'm not sure where these other people are shopping, but you can have human connection with the clerk there.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm the same way as you are, John. I like to, and I'm sure Debbie is too, definitely interact with the clerk. You mentioned it's kind of a lonely position. You were actually inside my head on that thought because I was thinking the same thing. The person who kind of monitors really doesn't have a whole lot to do except just to, I guess make sure you're not stuffing extra things in your bag or whatever. And that's another point altogether. Sometimes I would never ever steal anything, but I sometimes wonder, are they like super closely watching everybody over here? And you feel almost a little bit, conspicuous, walking past the guy or the gal with your bag of stuff and your receipt in your hand. I'm almost like, you want to see this? Do you want to look at this just to make sure?
Yeah. Interesting, John. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts about this topic. And as you can probably hear, we have absolute full phone lines. So here we go. Do you want to do can we go like rapid fire all the way down just to get like one comment from each person?
Well, we'll do our best to get as many as we can here. That's for sure.
Okay.
Linda in Joplin, Missouri, watching the video stream on YouTube. Hi, Linda. Hello, Linda. Are you with us? Well, you waited a while to get on. We will have the call screener, whoever that happens to be right now, check back in with Linda. In the meantime, let's go to Irma in Houston, Texas, listening on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Irma. Thanks for your patience. Welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Very well.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's nice and convenient, all this self-checkout and, automated stuff. And you call a company and ask if you have a question. You want to speak to somebody. Sometimes all you get is, just no human to talk to. Or they'll say, go to our website and you'll find all this information, which is fine and convenient. It's great. It's an option. But there are times where you need a person to talk to. Self-checkout, one time I had a situation with my bank, and they were trying to take $1,000 out of my account. And I went to the bank to close everything out, to deal with it, and then I asked them, where do you think they're doing this from? And they're like, you know what, it's possible self-checkout. Like, what? And the day before all this situation, I had been in a self-checkout. So it has its good, but, like Debbie said, what if the technology goes? And we don't have it. Now what? It's something I think about all the time. And I'm a computer teacher. I have kids doing research right now, and they're like, oh, we'll just Google it. I'm like, no, let's go to the library. Let's look online at the library books online or do something different. You get a source from there, and you get a source from another online thing. And a lot of kids think if they Google it, oh, it's true and everything is right. I'm like, no, it could be bad information. You don't know.
Right.
So that's my still on it. It's a good option, the automated things for certain things, but sometimes you need to have the backup, your plan B,
Well, yeah, you're making some good points, Irma, and I think you're right. I mean, the whole issue of technology getting into the wrong hands and our personal information and all of that. I mean, I don't know if there's that horse has left the barn a long time ago, and I don't know if we are ever going to be able to get to a place where we don't have those risks. But you're also talking about younger people and their approach and how you're kind of trying to steer them toward a more, I guess we might say, an older or more traditional approach that some of us might be used to. But it just goes to, I think, prove the point, Irma and Debbie, that, with each generation, this is going to go further and further and further down the road to the point where there won't be anybody alive anymore who doesn't know life without self-checkout and self-driving cars and online banking and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you would be so proud of me, Irma. I have a whole backup files, paper bills, invoicing, everything manual. I do everything the old-fashioned way, and it has saved me so many times, too many to count. And I have had friends that do everything online and through the computers, and when they go down, they go completely down. And but you have to keep double, backups of everything. Those backups on the computers, in the cloud, and then manual. It's a mess. It becomes very complicated. But so I I understand what you're saying, and I think I do agree, Jerry. It's unfortunate that we're going to get to a time when nobody's going to remember how to do things and back things up manually. What do you say, Irma? Final quick comments.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and that's the scary part. Like, what if this technology just stops?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, God forbid. I mean,
yeah.
Then what? There's nobody that knows how to grow their vegetables, or, you know, everybody just goes to the store, and I'm like, okay, so what if, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what if there is no store?
Right.
I even, yeah.
Right. Well, Irma, thank you so much. We appreciate the call. And Jerry, I just want to say real quickly before we get to Henry, that's like all these smart devices and smart homes and stuff. What happens if everything goes down from the, you know, a technical glitch? You're kind of stuck. I mean, how do you get into your house?
It feels like we're kind of living in a movie or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Henry in Massachusetts, we got about 90 seconds, Henry, but you waited patiently, so we wanted to get you on. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version.
Sure.
So I heard a lot of negativity towards the technology, and I do understand that. But like every other advance that's come through human history, it's a double-edged sword, right? If you use it the right way, it can be really helpful, and if you don't, it can certainly be abused. But and there's a lot of waxing poetic about these interactions with humans. But on the other side of the equation, there are a lot of interactions that I'm sure we can all think of where they weren't the most pleasant. So you think about going to the Department of Motor Vehicles or to the post office. I'm sure we've all had some negative experiences dealing with employees or individuals who weren't really that thrilled to be there or didn't take their job with the love of God in terms of what they're doing for the day, and it can send you in the opposite direction. And then, as far as some of the discussion, really quick on the technology, I mean, capitalism is creative destruction. Right? I mean, there are jobs that are going to go away, and there are experiences that are going to go away. But overall, it generally it makes our lives better. People will gravitate towards what makes our life better and easier and moving along. And so, as you look back over the years, as technology has evolved. I love trains as an example, but today we all fly because it's easier and it allows us to do other things. So.
Yeah, well, Henry, I think it's a great phone call to end this conversation on because it really is a double-edged sword and has a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses. Henry, thanks for putting a little bow and ribbon on top of this, I think, very impactful conversation, Debbie. I think it's been great.
Yeah, we didn't get to everyone today. We're so sorry. We tried to pick up the pace a bit, but there were a lot of details and a lot of angles. So we'll revisit this again for sure. And we're just so grateful to the Take Two family. You guys are amazing. Rich, Ace, Matt, Charles, you guys, the show team, incredible. Jerry?
Yeah, we want to ask the intercession of St. Agatha. It is her feast day today. And we thank you, the Take Two family, for making it a great show. Thanks, affiliates, for airing the program. Until we talk to you tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day.